All right, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Harakah HaKodash. A double honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS Great Millstone, and a sincere shalom to Yakim, bringing out this word in diligence and in truth. And I want to touch on, I want to go into the topic of Genesis, the 11th chapter, because this is a chapter in which we see, the Nimrod and the Tower of Babel ultimately come into fruition, man. And this was the first step, or the first attempt, I should say. This was the first attempt at a new world order to be established upon the earth, man. Right? And it's beautiful because what we see in the spirit as of today and the revitalized Roman Empire, right? We see that same sentiment of America being first, and ultimately Israel being the puppet master of the hammer. They want that same type of control today as they were trying to establish it back during the Tower of Babel, man. So I want to get into it. Right, and I also have a video. It's Genesis 11 at the top. It says, and the whole earth was of one language and of one speech, right? And the language they were speaking was Hebrew, man. And it was different dialects of Hebrew. The northern kingdom may pronounce certain Hebrew words different than the southern kingdom, just giving an example, right? But it was Hebrew. The language that they were speaking was the Lashawan Kodash, or the Holy Song. It says, and it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar, right? And it shows you that the work that they put in, right? Because it takes time, or brick by brick is the process in building or establishing a kingdom. But in this occurrence, this was a full-out rebellion against Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. And we see that same rebellious spirit on Esau Edom today, man. Right? Matter of fact, when we go into the book of Psalms, the 64th chapter, right? It's Psalm 64, and I'm going to start at the second verse. And it reads, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, right? The insurrection of the workers of iniquity. So here it is. However often the elites, and these top banking families get together, what are they doing? They're conspiring, right? Con meaning with, spire means to breathe, going back to the word spire, right? They're conspiring together or coming up with these plans, these motives, these decrees in order to enact them throughout the earth so that they could ultimately gain control. Well, we already know that they own, all these, ultimately, as the scripture tells us in the book of Job 9:24, the earth was given into the hands of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. But what they want to do is mark, by putting that physical device within everyone and claiming ownership of souls, man, of people, right? We understand Esau Edom controls the natural resources and the government programs, the FDA, the FBI, all so forth and so on, man, right? They control all of that. But as the name Nimrod means, a rebellion. Matter of fact, I have to grab that in the book of Jeremiah as well, right? Because in the book, I believe, of Jeremiah 50 or 51, it speaks about go up against the land of Merathaim, right? And when you go into that word Merathaim or Merathaim, it means double rebellion, right? Which is synonymous for America. So when you go into this word secret counsel in Psalms the 64th chapter, it says, Sod, right? I'm play it here.
Strong's H 5475.
Sod, right?
Sod.
So, but it says the council assembly, says a divan, a circle of familiar friends, an assembly or company, right? It said a secret or intimate consultation, right? So hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked. So that council, right, that assembly is full of wickedness. Because not only is it speaking about, or not only do they speak about, how to control the world and the resources within it, But they think about ways to accuse us to our power and ultimately, put Jake in a worse situation, man. To put more hell on us, right? So forth and so on. Continuing. It says, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword, and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect, right? The perfect are who? Israel, most importantly, the elect of the nation of Israel. It says that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. They encourage themselves in an evil matter, right? So when we go back into the book of Genesis, it's like the 11th chapter, right? And it says, and they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone and slime had they for mortar, right? They were devising schemes, plans, along with building the physical building, right? In order to what? Reach into the heavens, right? Because previously before this, you had what? The flood. So them in building that height, they think as if they can outthink or outplan Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, right? To build into the heavens by basically saying, oh, well, if another flood does happen, we won't be, what's the word? We won't be affected by it. We'll be able to conquer that device that the Lord would have set up, which is BS. Understanding that, hey, after the flood, right? And then the Lord repopulated the earth through Shem, Ham, and Japheth, right? And their wives. So the 3 sons of Noah and their wives. After that, hey, the Lord made a covenant that he wouldn't flood the earth again with water, right? We understand that he will bring forth the flood of fire from the thermonuclear destruction, the missiles, man, right? But that's a different type of flood, right? So going back in Psalm 64, it says, they search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligence, like at 5. It says, they encourage themselves in an evil matter, they commune of laying snares privily, and this is what the secret counsel of the wicked does. They say, who shall see them? Right? Here it is. Knowing that the children of Israel are supposed to be nigh unto Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, they're setting up certain strongholds in which you just can't get past. For example, of course, we know according to the dietary law, there's foods that are prohibited from us to eat. For example, swine, shellfish, right? All these different animals. What he'll do is he'll have a quote unquote kosher food, or a food that you wouldn't think would be tainted with such, right? And do what? He would actually mix some pork in it, or mix some shellfish in it, right? You have natural, quote unquote, what they call natural flavorings. And what they do with it is they'll take the gland of a beaver's butt, man, and throw that in there, knowing that a beaver is an unclean animal. So this is what the elites do, right? To exalt and to uphold their wickedness in this society. It says they encourage themselves in the evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. So to go back to the book of Genesis, Genesis 11, it says, and they said to one another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone and slime had they for mortar, right? It says, and they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven. Right? And it's prideful for a man to believe that they can exalt themselves above Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, man. This is just another reason as to why the Lord is going to destroy Esau, right? When we go into the book of Obadiah, the 3rd verse, and it says, the pride of thine heart have deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks. The scriptures tell us clearly that the Most High hates a proudful man, hates a proudful spirit, man. He hates it. That's Satan right there. Straight Satan. It says, and they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make a name. Let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. Right? And when you look up that word name in Genesis 11, it's the word Shem, right? But when you go into more of the definitions of the word Shem, right? Because Shem means name. 1 second, I'm going to grab it right here. It says, let us to make us a name. It goes into reputation or fame, the glory of such. It says the name as designation of the Most High. It says as a mark or memorial of individuality, renowned through the idea of definite and conspicuous position. And that word conspicuous means obvious to the mind, striking, noticeable, easily seen. Right? So here it is, man trying to exalt himself upon the earth instead of worshiping the true power. And when we take a look at what Esau Edom and how he's moving, he's doing the same steps. Basically saying, as the scripture says, and I'm going to grab it 1 second. 1 second. It said, I am and none else. No. 1 second. Yeah, here we go. Grab this in Isaiah the 47th chapter. But before that, I have this video I want to play. Right? Because this was an ancient New World Order, man. Right? So let's get it.
The global order is shifting fast. Donald Trump is back, and he's using raw power to reshape America's role in the world. Reuters reports that Trump is abandoning decades of rules-based diplomacy, replacing it with force, pressure, and direct action. The U.S. has moved aggressively in Latin America, toppling Venezuela's leadership and asserting control over its oil assets. Trump has even revived the idea of taking Greenland, alarming Denmark and unsettling Europe. Traditional allies, Europe, Japan, South Korea, are reassessing their security, unsure if the U.S. still stands with them. China and Russia are watching closely, sensing opportunity as global norms weaken. The post-World War II order, built on alliances and international law, is under visible strain. Supporters call it strength. Critics warn it risks instability and conflict. One thing is clear, the world is adjusting to America's new, unpredictable power play. This is the Minute Globe, decoding global power shifts.
Right? And it says World Order Shaken. Right? And the title is Trump's World Order, which we understand it's not Donald Trump because he's just a puppet for the global elite. But nevertheless, he's a tool that Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai is using to bring forth a quote-unquote enterprise, ultimately that Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai is going to throw down. Right? Because the scripture tells us in the book of Job, matter of fact, let's grab it. I'm just grab it. Not gonna even quote it, man. He disappointed the devices of the crafty. This Job 5:12, and it reads, he disappointed the devices of the crafty. Ooh, Shalaki. Yep. Crafty so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. Right? So though he's going to allow E to get it into a certain height, he won't allow him to fully establish it to the point where, he'll be ruling for another 100,000 or whatever years, man. And another thing, he will not, be CHIPing the elect, man. As the scripture says, the Yahushai's bones were not broken. Well, that goes into his elect. These are 7,000 men who will not bow the knee down into the image of Baal, man. Right? That grape of the cluster. Those whom he's kept unto himself. Right? Those that were promised unto him and given to him from Yahweh. Right? So speaking of that New World Order there, that you heard in the video of basically America being a hammer to establish forth rule and order throughout the world, all the resources being heaped unto them, the global elites, but it's being done through America, Trump being the face. This is Isaiah 47, and I'll start here at 8, it says, therefore, hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. And that's the sentiment here. When you hear how proud this nigga Trump be speaking, hey, I just did a video, was yesterday? I believe it was yesterday, of him basically saying, oh, well, what can stop you, from your conquering and the bloodshed, paraphrasing. And he said, oh, only my morals can stop me. Nothing else can really stop me. That's prideful, man. Because as he believes that, guess what? The elites really believe it. Because they're pulling the strings of him, right? They're pulling his strings. So it says, I am and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. Because you're exalting yourself as if you're the Most High, man. Matter of fact, let's grab that out of the book of 2 Thessalonians. Right? Because when we are showing forth the parallels back into the Tower of Babel, hey, they believed that they were untouchable. Their scheme was that, hey, this is what it's going to be forever. We found a way to misdirect the hell that the Most High God can punish us with. That's a prideful spirit, to think that you're untouchable, to think that you can't be brought low. That 2 Thessalonians 2:3, it says, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who is Esau, Edom, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called the Most High, or that is worshipped, so that he as a power sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is a God, man. So he opposes and exalteth himself above the Most High, man. There's no fear of the Lord in this man's heart. Just as the scripture says here, matter of fact, I got to grab this. I believe it's in the book of Hebrews. Oops. He's built Pharaoh. Shit. It's Romans 9 and 17. It says, for the scripture saith unto Pharaoh, even for this same purpose have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee, and that my name might be declared throughout all the earth. Right? So he only allowed Pharaoh to be as haughty and high-minded for the purpose of bringing him down with great destruction, and to decimate the armies of the Egyptians, to kill the firstborn, to bring forth the 10 plagues upon them. So how much more is Yahweh Shema Shah going to do damage unto Esau? Knowing that this is the last captivity in which we'll be placed in. This judgment for E is about to be great, man. It's about to be beautiful. Because from this point on, hey, he's going to go back into that servant. He's going to go back into that bower, right? That bower, that servant and servitude and slave position from here on out. After the Lord brings down his kingdom with great violence, it's no more exaltation of Esau, Edom, man. He will no longer be the man on top. When we go into the book of Job again, and it speaks about what? It speaks about basically how the eye which see him shall see him no more, right? Well, guess what? That throwing down is coming. So to go back into the book of Genesis, to just get the point. Oops. It says, and they said, let us go. It's like, and they said, go to, let us build a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and tower which the children of men builded. And Yahweh said, behold, this people, or the people, is as one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. All right, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, right? Confusion, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth, right? So ultimately, the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shah, destroyed the plans of the wicked, of the crafty, man. So I'm going to actually end off with that in the book of Job, the 20th chapter, right? This Job 20 and 4, it says, knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon the earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment? Though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach unto the clouds, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung, just as in the Tower of Babel, right? They which have seen him shall say, where is he? He shall fly away as a dream, and shall not be found. Yea, he shall be chased away as the vision of the night. The eye which also saw him shall see him no more, neither shall his place any more behold him. So the end of one age and the beginning of another. For Jacob is the for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So that's the point. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying unto the body. I want to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Harakah HaKodash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS Great Millstone, and a sincere shalom to Yakim, bringing out this word in diligence and in truth. Shalom.